Hey everybody, it's Sophie and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I am here to review Monk Season 7. First off, I guess, happy Black Friday. I don't really care about Black Friday at all, but there are some pretty good deals when it comes to video games, so I take advantage of those, obviously. So, um, anyways, Monk Season 7 was easily the worst one so far. It was everything I feared Monk would become in the past few seasons. The mainstream feeling took a huge toll on the quality of the overall show, but it started off as on a series low, Dr. Kroger's death. At first I was irritated because I thought maybe it was another Sharona situation where the actor forced them to fire them because of, like, basically selfishness. But then I found out that the actor who played Dr. Kroger actually died, which is very unfortunate. Rest in peace. Particularly because his last moment on Monk was in season 6, and it was him watching Adrian try to pay him with a shitty drawing. I mean, that's his last scene. What a shit show. It's almost like Monk paying him for his entire series worth of therapies with a crappy art piece. I mean, isn't that kind of weird? Like, if you think about it, like he's getting paid for his whole work on the series, then the next thing you know, he dies. That's pretty strange. I know there's practically nothing they could have done, but I really think they should have given him a better send off episode. We don't even get to see his family. We don't get to see his iconic old office with the cool waterfall. We don't get to see the funeral. We don't get to find out what was in his file on Adrian. And most importantly, we don't get to see how Monk would have really reacted. Monk would have slipped back into a slump like he did with his wife. But it's in my opinion that they already wrote the house episode and simply tacked on Dr. Kroger's death and made some stupid excuses that connected it to the house storyline. To top that off, Dr. Bell is boring. He ends up becoming a somewhat chillax doctor, but he starts off very dull. So right off the bat, I was not a fan of this season. I felt a sadness that the actor passed away, and this episode he got as a send off was trash. The only good part about it was Jack the villain, which he's a good actor, so he would have been good no matter what role he played. Throughout the rest of the season, there were many episodes with great ideas but mediocre executions. Monk is trapped on a submarine underwater? Great idea. But it's a meh episode. Monk has to protect a boxer from assassination? Great idea. Meh episode. Then they really did it. I ship Monk and Natalie. However, for the purpose of a really mediocre episode, they had Natalie quit being his assistant to become a lotto girl? What a stupid episode. How many times do they have to sacrifice the integrity of the characters and story for the gimmick of an episode? She even does the cliche thing where a character gets full of themselves with more fame. Then there was something worse. Monk got a girlfriend. The whole episode was queer beyond words. It's just a gimmick episode where he refuses to believe she's guilty, even though it's shit. It's super obvious she is guilty. Oh, but not really. Her mom did it. What a surprise. Then, since he put her mom in prison, she refuses to go out with him again. What trash. How convenient that he wasn't able to get a girlfriend. It's just like he couldn't for the purpose of the show. The real question is why he hasn't contacted the woman from season 2 who gave him her phone number. Remember that whole episode where he went on a date with her and it didn't work out and she gave him her phone number? I mean, they just completely forgot about that. What a bunch of lazy asses. I mean, And then they did the iconic 100th case episode. That's right, 100 cases Monk has solved for this ungrateful police department. And yet he's still just known as, I'm a police. Used to be a police officer. Trash. Complete trash. And the story of him becoming an officer again literally stopped moving at all after the episode when he fails his test. He doesn't even take it basically in like what, season 2 or 3? I guess they just stopped caring because they can just save it for the final episodes as some satisfying moment. Oh, look, he finally became an officer. Wow. But the 100th episode was 100th case, sorry. The 100th case episode was garbage. And you'd think, too, that they could have made that an actual issue, a conflict in the episode of Monk saying, I'm still not a police officer again. I'm just this consultant who gets disrespected all the time. Like, fuck that. Like, he should have quit in this episode and been like, I'm going to do the Sharona thing and I'm going to quit because I'm sick of this bullshit with these police officers just, they can't even do their jobs without Monk around. Like, it's really embarrassing at this point, honestly. You don't really think about it because you want to enjoy the show, but when you really look back, it's really pathetic, these police officers in this storyline, the way that they rely so heavily on someone, and then they have the goal to say that he's not ready to become a police officer again. And then you think about, too, if he became a police officer again, how many years are they going to make him wait until they make him become a detective again? Like, what a bunch of bullshit. Like, he should automatically become a detective if he becomes an officer again. But we all know that won't happen because it's Monk, and they have to constantly put him at a disadvantage to make the show keep going. They can't ever have him win anything, just like with X-Files. But he does win all the cases, though, which that's why it's good. But this 100th case episode, it was some generic-ass serial killer case where they parodied an inflammatory crime show like fucking Natural Born Killers already did. And the guy who stands out the entire episode as the only suspect is the killer. Wow, great writing. That random guy who was trash, by the way. He was complete boring character, complete obnoxious, dumb character. What was he like? What was he like, a reporter or something? I can't even remember. This is trash. I spit. Okay, I just wiped it off. Had a little Monk moment, and I was like, oh no, I gotta wipe the spit off. There is a good moment where we see some past villains of his talking together in prison. It felt realistic to me that because he was so abnormal and annoying, criminals might bond over their hatred of him. After that, we suffer through more mediocrity. Monk gets a stepbrother character, and he's used for a stupid mystery that really wasn't good enough for an episode. But there were a few great episodes sprinkled throughout the trash. The Christmas episode is legendary. What a dark storyline to have a bunch of sick people being poisoned even more just to, being given the medicine afterwards with the fountain just to cover up the sight of a dead body. On top of that, we finally got some real development with Captain Leland. He completely changes, and seeing his rebirth is a moment that it feels like it's in a finale episode. So this episode really could have been the season finale. And the Monk on Wheels episode, that was really good too. And it finally returned him back to the earlier season's days of him being really, really irritated by everything. Like, it really felt old school, that episode. The football episode was surprisingly good. Keep in mind, I hate football. But this football themed episode I truly loved. I loved how Monk wasn't with Natalie the whole episode for once, mostly, because they really. Remember how last season they felt like a couple? Well, it felt like this season they tried to make her. They tried to, like, de evolve her to make sure that she wouldn't be on Monk's level. Like, she doesn't really have any highlight moments at all. She just has one moment that sticks out in the final episode, which is really, like, an embarrassment to her character. There was also a really good episode about a magician, played by the actor who played Harry Flint from Uncharted 2. In this one, the annoying neighbor is actually murdered. I was surprised and delighted that they had the balls to kill off a reoccurring character like him, because they just brought him back over and over again. It got pretty ridiculous by now. But still, it was a good idea to do that. One of the good ideas this season. But then it reminded me of the Dr. Kroger problem. They really didn't give any emotional weight to the neighbor's death either. The episode was just another formulaic one that had a pompous evil guy who shows off how evil he is the whole episode, only to get caught. And then there was the finale. And now here's where we get to the real problems. The Monk writers have serious problems when it comes to writing finales. I mean, it's basically a meme at this point. When you see a finale episode, you cover your eyes in fear of how trash it's going to be. This finale took the cake for stupidity. The whole issue of the episode is bizarre. Would they ever tear down the road where JFK was murdered? No! Hell no! So why are they doing it now with Trudy's parking lot? As well, Harold is back to being Harold again. Never mind about how much I liked him after the Daredevil episode. I wish his character would have died in that episode for how he acts in this one. The story follows as Monk tries to preserve the parking lot where his wife was killed. There are some funny things like him bribing the secretary of one councilwoman to vote in favor of preserving it. Natalie proves herself to be a complete prude, telling Monk never to look in a drawer in this love nest apartment. Even if it could have had a critical clue to the case, she quote-unquote doesn't care. What could it have been? A bunch of sex toys? So what? Is Natalie that uptight? I mean, that was really weird. I mean, it was probably like one of the weirdest moments in Monk history, and it just felt like they could have done that with any character, and then they just chose to do it with Natalie to make it like, I don't know. It's almost like she's perfect for Monk, though, for how uptight she is. She acts in that moment, and after she sees that and closes it. Cough, cough. I mean, come on. Why can't you guys just... And I know that they're not going to do it, too. That's what's frustrating. Like, if I could go back in time, I'd be writing them letters telling them to put them together because it's ridiculous. I mean, come on. Leland and Randy are hardly in the finale, which contributes to the lacklusterness of it. Dr. Bell is he's completely useless, suggesting Monk should just get over it and let the kids have a playground. Then at the end, we think that there's been a perfect storyline where Monk finally won something for the first time in his whole life. But no, it's all undercut by the secretary. That really pissed me off, because that was the predictable thing. Predictable as fuck. Just like in that episode where that girl was going to help him sue the police department to force him to get back on the force because he's technically disabled. Remember that? And how then that was like, oh no, actually he's not going to do that. I'm sick of them doing that. It really pisses me off. Then they had this stupid ass twist where they called the playground the Trudy Memorial Park. What a disgrace. You know what they could have easily done? They could have taken the special wall out and put it in the playground as a memorial stone at the very least. And this has been done so many times, like with movie sets, like with the Goonies. Remember the porch for the house? Well, the family that lived there, they had to repair it, and so they took the porch apart and they sold pieces of the porch on eBay. And I have a piece of the Goonies porch, and they also did the same thing with like Friday the 13th. They did it with the cabin for that. They did all these cool things. They took the whole cabin apart because I don't know, I guess they had to tear it down. But they can do that type of thing, and they didn't. But they destroyed everything and then slapped her name on at the end. Not only did this episode suck, but it added to how trash the series finale will be. In my ideal Monk series finale, he would go back to the parking garage to reenact the crime or something. However, I did like how they flat out said there wouldn't be any evidence left after this long. Why? Because it reminds me of that shitty X-Files episode, Tombs, where there's suddenly this convenient evidence left over from like 30 years ago. Overall, Monk Season 7 was a huge disappointment and probably the worst season so far. I go into Season 8 with nothing more than a feeling of watching a casual, mainstream show. I have no expectations. I'm not like excited. Oh, I can't wait to watch. Nope, not anymore. That's what the series was supposed to fight against from day one, though, was that mainstream feeling. My food rating is a Stouffer's turkey dinner. There's a frozen and artificial quality to this season unlike any other. Nothing really stands out that much overall, and several characters are ruined for the gimmicks of different episodes. Here are some statistics I took at the end. 62% of these episodes got grades lower than a B. And this season also included the first 3 F-graded episodes in Monk history. So damn, that's a slam dunk right there. I mean, not that my grades are like important or anything, but just in terms of like, I watch an episode and then I rate it, and I just do that. I don't have any, I don't go back and, I do it all as I watch each episode. So it really shows every time I look back at all the grades that I gave out. It shows the quality difference between the various seasons. So, I'm not excited to watch season 8. Number one, because I know that it's going to end. And, sorry. And after it ends, unfortunately, I will be watching and reviewing Little Monk. And that is going to, wow. That's going to be really bad. And I will also be binging Cobra Kai Season 3 in preparation for Season 4, which is going to come out in December. And I'll watch X-Files again as soon as Safi hurries up and finishes Season 2. She's only on Episode 2, so see, that's what I mean. So please like this video if you liked it. Comment, tell me what you thought about Season 7. Did you like that crappy finale? I mean, I thought it had some funny things in it, but it was still a bad episode. And I'm always harsher on the finales because the finales are supposed to be different than the regular episodes, and they really don't get that at all. Like they don't understand that. They just it's really bad. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see me review Season 8 and rank all the episodes in Monk history. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.